There is a thin divide between what is perceived as spiritual and paranormal, for they are forever entwined throughout time. Traveling within the history of the world, we can find examples of spirituality that involves everything from magic, spirits, gods and goddesses, and seers, or people said to be able to talk to the dead. We all have our belief systems and we all have our own truths. So come sit with Holly Jenkins and myself as we talk about all that and more. Welcome to Spiritually Paranormal. Hey!
Long time no see.
Yeah, feels
Man,
like
it
a
looks,
minute, right? Feels
yeah.
like a minute. Wow. You gotta love it though. Today it is 48 degrees in February.
I think it's like 66 here.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. I need light. There's no light on me. And it's crazy because like I got
You're
the
lit
windows.
up.
Maybe if I open up the blinds.
You're lit up.
Am I?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see you. You're not dark. I actually, yesterday when I was streaming readings, I had blurred my background and
Yeah.
nobody wanted it blurred. They all asked me to put it back because they wanted to see the birds flying around. So it is what it is.
Ask me how I've spent the biggest part of my day so far.
How have you spent your day today so far?
I have spent the entire morning in a $4.5 million house.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Right now is crazy that my agent and his assistant that have the house listed, they had appointments at other big properties.
Oh,
So I had to be there to let all the inspectors in and hang out while they were there doing all their inspections, the termite inspection, the pool inspection, the appraisal, the home inspection, radon. I mean, every inspection you can think of was happening this morning.
yeah, well, at least to get it all over at one fell swoop.
I called my grandson. I called the littlest one, James, and I told him, Stacy, I said, tell him I'm going to show him my new house.
Well, your house has to be up there because you've got a beautiful place.
No, mine's the little. Nowhere close. No, not even, no.
Well, the one that I built that back in 2008 in the crash we lost, I wouldn't have wanted to be in it anyway. It was too huge because it was 3,900 square feet. It was beautiful, and it was on 10 acres. And that went for $1 million by the time it sold because of the 10 acres with it and stuff.
If my house was finished, new siding, new windows, the downstairs finished, the flooring all finished, if all that was done, I could probably sell it for between 400 and 500.
Well, and that's good.
And I bought it for under 200, so that's freaking good.
Yeah, I have people banging on my door. It's not that the house is great because personally, I think if somebody else moved in it, they'd take it down to the ground and rebuild it. But I like it. But because I'm right on the lake, I've got people always, hey, you want to sell it? You want to? No.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
No. So, yeah. So, well, it's been a minute. So I'm going to let you. Oh, first, let's say hi to everybody. I see.
Hey, everybody.
Hayes here and Cindy Pinkham's here and Simon's here. Hi, Simon. How are you? Haven't seen. Hi, Chloe. It's weird.
Where's Tada at? Where's Ruth at?
I don't know. I talked.
Hey, let me share this video out. Hold on. Keep talking.
Okay. I talked to her 2 days ago. I don't know. And I know Raylan is laid up because she hurt her back. So, yeah, she was doing rowing. Well, while she's getting ready to show a video or upload a video,
There we go.
Oh, you got
No,
it?
I was sharing this. I was sharing the live out.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll tell you what's been going on here.
What I've been doing? Oh, what do you think I've been doing, people? I've been writing more books. So this one is the cutest book ever. I'm in love with this book. Take that down a minute, Bear, so I can show them the book. This has got the cutest little animals you have ever seen in your whole little life. These are
duck.
like just look. Hold up. Where's one of my favorites? Hold on, 2 seconds. Oh, I even love the ostrich. Let's look at how freaking adorable these are. And this is affirmations for little champions. So it's little affirmations for kids. I am capable of making good choices. I am creative and imaginative. I am patient and can wait my turn. Those kind of things. I adore that book. And this big bad boy, 350 pages.
Let me just show a cover.
Yep. This is The Power of Intention. Now, this talks about the 369 theory, Nikola Tesla's 369 theory, where you write your intentions down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, in the afternoon, and then 9 times in the evening. And I've been doing that. I need to catch up today since I was at that house. But this is basically at the beginning of it, tells you the best practices, different ways to phrase what you're asking from the universe, and different kinds of things you might want to ask or how you want to say it. That's only the first few pages. The rest of it is an actual journal, and it's separated by 3, 6, and 9 so that you can keep track. And thing about journals, a lot of them only come like 100 pages or so.
Yep.
So you would need 3 or 4 of them to get through the year. Well, you only need this one. So that's what I've been doing. And I wrote the story about the spider getting tangled in his own web.
Yep.
I just don't have a copy of it yet. And other than that, not much else. Just work.
Well, I have been having discussions in various groups. I've been putting this discussion out for purpose, and I think that's what I'm going to do forthcoming as we walk into more shows, because I want to get feedback and just kind of hear their thoughts. And then something came up yesterday when I was on stream, and it was I actually came across somebody, a dear friend of mine, who lost her husband. It'll be 2 years this March, and to ALS. And one of her daughters just thinks, she's kind of got a scientific mind, and she just kind of thinks when we go, we just go. There's just nothing. Well, she's been it's kind of changed. I did the painting, The Guardian, that I had out. I did for my dear friend, and her husband helped me paint it because he was yelling, make sure you put the roses in it. Make sure you put the roses on it. No, this has got to be different. And it took a lot to do it.
Right.
She gets it. She's very spiritual as well. And then I did 3 paintings, 5x7 paintings that he literally guided my hand to do.
Right.
Which was kind of weird for me, but because it was him, I didn't have a problem with it because I know him.
Exactly.
Like, so, and I gave that to the girls, and 2 of the girls know their dad's around, know they see him, they hear him. There's things that happen to say, hey, I'm here, I'm watching over you. And then we have the one that has that scientific way of thought.
Right.
And I talked to her mom the other day, and she said, well, I will tell you this. She says, I'm going to tell you 2 things. I said, okay. She says, once we hung up with you, because they opened it on Christmas Day. And she says, once we hung up and everybody was talking and chatting and getting food ready and stuff, she says, this particular daughter went in the other room, put her earphones in and put music on and sat holding that picture. because she's been seeing bucks in really odd places, and that represents her dad. So she's like
Right.
trying to grapple with what that is. So then she called her mom last weekend, and she lives in another state. So, she's not here in Michigan anymore. And she called her mom and says, "Hey, Mom, I had a dream. Did you hang that picture?" And she says, "Yeah." She goes, "Did you hang it above the stairwell, like the stairway, so you could see it?" They've got this, the Titanic with that big grand staircase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Theirs isn't quite as big, but it's that same thing where it curves and it goes up.
They have a landing.
Yeah, to the second floor. And that's where she hung it. So you can see it from downstairs, and then you can see it every day when you're walking by it. And she didn't know that her mom had hung it, and she told her exactly where it was. And then she told her a story that she had a dream, and her dream was she was with her sisters sitting in a room, and she says, we all had a beer in our hand, different kinds of beer,
Weird.
Well,
Yeah.
he was a beer drinker. He was old school construction guy. She says, and he was standing at the top of the stairs, looked great, but he was leaning on the wall with the picture going,
Right, like this is where I'm at. Yeah.
He was telling them. And then he did something else, which linked somebody else that I know really well. And I just said to my friend, "What did you just say?" And she said it back. I said, "Well, this is really strange because this person was at my house that it was referred to in the dream and was in my house and had said that they had a dream with my friend's husband in it," which was really weird. I mean, they knew each other,
Right.
and they interacted, but not as much as everybody else did. And he told me about it, and it was the same thing. He had a beer in his hand, had a hammer in his hand, which he threw, and said, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine." So this all correlated. So the reason I'm bringing it up is during my stream yesterday, somebody said to me, "Can we see our loved ones in dreams? Or is it just being silly?"
100%. Yeah.
Or is it just being silly and it's coincidence and it's because it's in our mind? So I'm going to let you go with that because I know I have my answer, but go with that and you tell.
Well, when you are in the dream state, whether you're skeptical or not, as you told the story about the daughter that has that scientific mind, that she was a big skeptic. I'd like to know what she thinks about it now, since he came into her dream and showed her exactly where he was. How can you deny that? But your mind isn't. It's relaxed. It's at ease, and you are more connected to your spirit self while you are sleeping. Especially those that get in their own way and want to overthink things, and when you think that you can connect with spirit through the physical realm, and you try to see spirit, hear spirit, and talk to spirit in a physical way, because that's not how it works. It's all energy. It's all spiritual.
Right.
So that's why you can see them. They can communicate with you usually a lot easier and better in your dreams.
I agree 100% because our boundaries aren't up. Because
right. There's no walls.
Yeah.
And you're not. I mean, you're in your physical body, but your spirit gets to, astral project and travel, and you're not as sewn in, let's just say.
Well, I was, and the question further to okay, so how do we go? Because she says, I saw so-and-so and we were in a specific place. And I said, yeah, you can construct that in your mind's eye. I said, I often tell people to do that. One of the things that's how, and I know you've done it. One of the things that I do is when I like to talk to my grandparents, that's what I say. Meet you in the kitchen. And when I go to sleep at night, we're in the kitchen yakking like we're there. To me, that's not a coincidence. It's just you allowing yourself the opportunity.
Well, the great thing was she didn't set out to have that dream or have that communication. It just came to her. And because she has a scientific mind and she's a skeptic, that's why he was able to get through to her.
It's really, and it's, I also put the question up in our group, and I put it up in a couple other private groups where people like, tell us your stories. Because see, the thing is, and I know when I was growing up, and I was kind of laughing about this last night late when I couldn't fall asleep at 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
I was watching videos on TikTok, and I said, oh my God, I'm old. Because some of the songs, their anniversary this year was 50 years since these songs were originated out. And it was like, I grew up to those songs. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. But when we were growing up, and even you're younger than me, but when we were growing up, we didn't have resource like everybody has today. My closest resource for what was happening to me was either to be locked up by a doctor in a padded room and take pills, or don't say anything to anybody and read books from Rosemary Altea, Echo Bodine, and I think Sandra Brown at that time had just started putting her stuff out. And that was it, like 3 books.
Yeah, now look at it. Look at it now. It's crazy.
And so what makes me happy is because, I'll include you in it, but not that you're old, but we're kind of the dinosaurs. I'm not saying you're old, but we're kind of the dinosaurs because we were there at the beginning of it. You know, when I remember Dionne Warwick's thing with Ask Whatever, and it was a 1-800 number every Saturday. If you were watching the Saturday afternoon movie, man, that's what came up.
Stop saying how old we are.
Yeah, well,
you are totally dating us.
Well, I'm getting, you see, you're getting like me too. I'm getting also, my hair's finally coming back, and I apologize, and I look like a hippie because my hair is really curly. It's always been that way. But I'm not doing nothing with it because it's growing back. And my body's been through so much trauma. But I just look at it and I'm like, wow. And everybody has access to things that we didn't have access to.
Yeah, so the information now. Back then, you had to go to the library, go through the stupid little card, Dewey Decimal System.
And then hide in the corner if you couldn't find it, or if you did find it because you wanted to read it.
Right. Or the encyclopedias. That's all you had. That was your information. You didn't have it anywhere else. I just did a video on TikTok earlier. I think it was this week, where I said, wow, things have changed. Times have changed so much. And one thing that I really love about today's world, I know there's a lot of craziness and all that going on, but people are encouraged more to be themselves, not to be like everybody else. Because back in our day, you had to act like everybody else, or you were the freak, you were the weirdo. And now everyone is really, truly encouraged to be more authentic. And that's one thing I definitely love about the time we're in right now.
Well, that, and it's kind of one of those good things, bad things, because everybody's got phones, or their phones all have cameras. So sometimes it gets really kind of crazy. But it also assists everybody in realizing you're not the only one that sees or hears stuff. And I'm not saying all the stuff on TV or at the movies, the entertainment world, because there's a lot of them that I'm just like, I've talked about that before, where they come in and, oh my God, I'm being possessed. That's not real.
Right.
But then the people that I know that are really good, that are in our group, yourself included, and even people that I know over in the UK and people that I know here in the US, I trust them. So I know their character. And this is the biggest thing I tell everybody is you have to know the character, but don't think you're by yourself, because you're not.
Yeah, not at all.
More accessible than ever. So now I'm going to show you, because I've been busy while we've been gone. Right now, I'm still having really bad issues with my back. I'm sitting right now and I'm okay, but it's going to be like when I try to move, I'm going to be screaming.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of working on that, laying down, resting. I've got 2 paintings done. I've gotten that table done. I've gotten something else done as soon as I get back from the printer. I'm really excited about this. But I've also had, and if you follow me, sometimes you'll see it. My private page is my private page, but every now and then I'll put it public. Well, I had things like, the cupboard doors were opening, or
Right.
there was banging on the wall on the inside of the house. And that was when my son-in-law was here. He heard it, I heard it, and so did everybody else. And it, for whatever reason, it's linked to him. And it's not bad. It's okay. But so we've had some crazy stuff. Well, last week, I was talking to somebody about the situation that related to my friend's husband and stuff, and trying to get somebody through some stuff. And I saw out of the corner of my eye a shadow walk across the wall. And I was like, oh, and I'm kind of looking because it was daylight. I thought maybe somebody walked by my front of my house, but no. And I thought, okay, so who's here? And I didn't feel bad. And that's another thing that I want to stress. Shadow people are not mean, nasty things. And spirit can be that way. And I always say, if they're assholes in life, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be assholes in death, right?
Right.
But if something bad comes through, not that it scares you, but you can feel fear with it. Like the
right. You just sense that energy.
Yeah, it's just different. But I didn't. And then I saw the shadow of a person walk off my fireplace wall towards me and sit on the couch.
Oh yeah, now, I remember this. Yeah,
and there was an indentation that went down into the couch, right? So I was like, okay. And I, for whatever reason, and seriously, I try to kind of shut stuff out other than the days I was doing readings and stuff for people. I kind of wanted to turn it off because I needed a break.
Right.
So I really didn't fathom who it was, but they were just chilling. So I wasn't really worried about it. So later on, this is what happened. I have, matter of fact, you can probably, you can sort of see it. There's a thing hanging in the doorway. And if you look really close, it's crystals. And the gal that was here helping me last year after my surgery had hung them. And I said, oh, what's this? She goes, oh, I just thought this would be cool and blah, blah, blah. I haven't touched it. It's been there. She's not here anymore. And it's just been there. No windows open. No doors open. Not walking by it. It just sits. It doesn't move. It doesn't do anything. I can jump up and down in the kitchen or in here, and it doesn't do anything. So I'm sitting in the front room with my daughter and her friend, and this is what I see. Can you see it?
I don't know what I'm looking at.
The spots, the bright spots.
Oh, yeah, I see.
See how they're turning and shaking?
Yeah.
Those are quartz crystals.
Oh.
And look at how they're like glimmering, right?
Yeah.
And they were glimmering because I was asking, can you turn them more so I know it's not my imagination?
Right.
And that's what happened. And to me, that's really super crazy because there was no light in the kitchen. There was
like where'd the light come from?
I have no clue. And it just kept doing this. And I'm like, no idea what it was from. And it was like, okay, so you're still here from being here earlier, right?
Right.
Spinning around. And I said to Tay, I said, look at this. This is mind blowing. And she says, no, Mom, it's nuts. I can't see it spinning. And her friend that was here said, I can see it spinning. And we're like, there's no windows open. We weren't by it. There was no breeze coming in the door because nothing was open. It never moves. I said, where's the light source that it's picking up? And she's like, I don't know, Mom. We always have weird shit happen in this house. That went on for about 20 minutes plus, just a little bit over. And I just sat there watching it, and it would like shine. And I'm like, there was no light on in the kitchen at all. And there was nothing, actually, we were sitting in the dark in the front room because it was dark outside, and we had the light on near the fireplace, which definitely did not interact with this. So that comes to my thing of people that were talking on my stream yesterday saying, how do we know signs aren't just coincidences? Now, that was the beginning of the weekend, and the things that rolled out, like for the rest of the weekend, all connected back to my friend's husband and this and the person coming in that I saw. And it all happened for a reason, to make sure we knew that something was real. This isn't your imagination. So I always tell people, and everybody listening now, remember, in my mind anyway, there's no such thing as coincidences, especially when the coincidences keep continuing on and they're linked, okay? So many of us are out there and we ask, we want a sign. We want a sign so bad, right? And then you say, well, nobody's listening to me. I can't see them. I don't know if this is real. I asked for this to happen. But a lot of times we get to the point where we're so specific in how we want to be responded to or how we want these answers that we block out all the things that are coming through as messages. And that's where people, hi Gloria, that's where people have to understand. You have to be open-minded, and you'll have things dropping here and there, and it's all connected. It's all in support of us walking in our human selves. So I just want to know, and it's also important for me to tell you all as well, you need to share these experiences with other people. You need to do that because there's a lot of people that are having similar experiences, but they're like not really wanting to share because they think they're crazy. And it's safe. There's a lot of places out there that we provide, even from here, that are safe groups or safe places, or you can get hold of us and it's a safe space. Hi, Shelly, how are you? So I don't know, but that was pretty bizarre. And that just went back to, like I said, the messages, right?
Right.
You just have to be aware and open to them. You get messages all the time.
All the time. All the time. I was just putting my makeup on yesterday morning. And while I was putting my makeup on, getting ready for work, Spirit showed me my good friend Wahui. He's been single for like forever. And he keeps saying, where's my woman, Wahui? Where is she? Why is she not here yet? And I saw a very particular woman for him years ago, and that image never changed. Well, I was sitting there doing my makeup, and suddenly there's a different woman that I saw for him that I don't know. I told him, I said, I don't know what role she will play or how permanent she will be. There's a new woman coming in for you. And I mean, she must be right around the corner. So he's got all excited about that. But yeah, they come at the weirdest times.
And it's when it happens, it's so in your face. It's like, what just happened? Like, what did I just, and then, like I said, a lot of people, they just blow it off. They put it aside and say, oh, they had nothing to do with it.
You got to be open to receiving those messages. And well, one day last week, I have this box. All of my cards, my oracle decks that I created, they're all in these pouches, these little bags, except for this one set is in this box, and it is the You Are My Sunshine deck. Well, a friend of mine years ago gave me 3 crystal hearts, and the smallest one, this little amethyst one, sits in that box. Well, I pull these cards out all the time, and that, this crystal just sits there. Well, the other day, that crystal came flying out and across the floor. And immediately I knew I was supposed to message Pete, see, oh, you all right? What's going on?
Right.
And Spirit gave me a message for him about some new things that'll be coming into his life, some changes in the next 6 months. And something, I can't remember exactly what Spirit said, but it was something about having fun in the sun. And when it happens, he'll know when that person shows up or when those changes happen. And it was more for him. It was not just a person. It was all the different aspects of his life would just start coming together. But
Well,
those messages are random that you never
yeah,
know when they're going to come
and
in.
it happens sometimes, like you're saying with this. It'll happen when we're supposed to give somebody a message, or we'll run into somebody like totally out of the blue, and it'll be a message for them. I have gotten to the point now where I'll always get hold of people, or I'll send them a quick text on the phone if they're
Right.
close to me and say, "Hey, are you good?" And
Yeah.
just to make sure, because I
Spirit
kept.
gives you that nudge to say, touch base.
Well, my friend's husband, his way, since he was like 4 days before he passed, I saw him like physically manifest, and he looked at me and he goes, "Oh shit, this is real? Like you said, this is real?" He goes, "Oh man, this is gonna be fun." He passed 4 days later, but he was in the process of leaving his body when he came.
Right. Right. Right.
One of his things that he always does when he wants me to do something, because he knows I can hear and see him, he will take my phone or my tablet, no matter where it is, and he'll flip it into the air and across the room. Doesn't matter where it is, he'll flip it. And when I was down with her, he did the same thing. It was on a kitchen counter, sitting by itself. We were sitting, like, it's all open.
I'm going to give you a heads up. I think somebody might be coming in a minute. If it does, I might disappear for a couple of minutes.
That's
so
fine.
you know.
But he literally picks up my tablet and he tossed it. Oh, it was a good 15 feet. It went arcing up in the air and it fell right in front of her feet.
Right.
And I said, "So, okay, unless you're planning on buying me a new tablet," I said, "you need to tell him you get it." She goes, "I just don't feel him." I go, "You don't feel him? He just threw my tablet from across the room to your feet." So we have to be more open to the possibilities. And I think that's so.
And it's trusting your own senses. That's
Yeah.
huge. Because when you get those little nudges or those little thoughts that seem so random, they're not necessarily random. That is spirit reaching out to touch you and tell you, hey, pay attention to this.
Absolutely, it is.
So I have something real quick that I was going through after I finally made it back to the office today. I was looking at my memories on Facebook and look at these intentions because we have a new moon coming up this Friday. So it's perfect timing. I'm going to turn the camera around here. So this is where I wrote, let me see. How do you turn the camera around?
Don't ask me. It's not my phone.
No, that turned it off.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
How do you flip it?
Like on the picture, isn't there a little thing that has a circle and you push it so it comes around to the other side and it's looking at you?
No. Anyway, so I wrote 3 different intentions down for that new moon. One of them said, "Dear Universe, I want to write really great books. Thank you." Now, this was in 2015, 9 years ago. "Dear Universe, please help my true love find me." And then, "Dear Universe, help me heal." All 3 of those things have come to be. So you got to be patient. You have to keep manifesting, keep putting that energy out into the universe and ask for it. And then work toward those things that you want. Like it's been 9 years, I could have never had the idea in my head that it's never going to happen. Or none of it ever would have.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing when we think of stuff. And, the signs are all there. I think sometimes you're just asking for specific things. When I'm doing readings here, or even on Tuesdays when I'm doing readings, the animals also know. They're like ramp. I mean, they ramp up like crazy. They don't, even the Keats, they get all excited because there's all this energy around us. And so you need to pay attention to your pets. How many times have you guys been sitting in a room or something going on and you look and one of your animals is like staring up into the air or staring at a door or a specific spot, and you may not see anything, but they do. I also had a conversation, I'm going to ask all of you about this one. My daughter, when she was 3 years old, she would sit in a car. She died 6 months after my father died. So my father never met her physically here in human, and she never met him, but she talked to him all the time. And she was in the car one day with me, and I worked the afternoon. So I was taking her over to my mom, who watched her while I was working, and her father would come home because he worked days. So it was kind of an in between. So my daughter was sitting in the vehicle with me in the back seat, in her car seat, and she was talking. And I said, "Who are you talking to?" And she says, "Grandpa." I said, "What do you mean, Grandpa?" She says, your daddy, Grandpa." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, okay, what's he saying?" And she said, "Mom, he has said, don't worry." And my daughter started talking when she was 11 months old. So she had a very big vocabulary. And I was like, okay. But at 3, she didn't know. And there were some things that I was very concerned about. And she talked to him like for a long time. And she would see him. And then when my father-in-law, he wound up having a stroke and was taken downstate, and my daughter was 6. And the house we were staying in, I came walking into the room. Everybody was upset because, he was down in the hospital in ICU. And my daughter sat up in her bed, and she started having a conversation, and she was looking above her from where she was sitting in her bed. And she looked at me and she said, "Say bye to Grandpa." And I was like, "What?" And she says, "Yeah, Grandpa Dick just came in and said hi to me and said it would be okay and he'd still be around and that he loved me." And I was like, okay, so kids can see things. And actually, we got a phone call 15 minutes after that. He had passed, and it was the exact time that my daughter was talking to him. And she swears by it to this day. So children and animals are always, oh no, it's all okay, Chloe. It's been a long time. But the thing is, you need to pay attention. And here, Shelley, like, yeah, they know, right? It's like they have this intuitive sense. And again, I just think because they don't know any different. I think because creatures are actually smarter than we give them credit for. And they continually give us those validations. It's okay, Chloe. Let's see here. Cindy, what are you saying here? My friend's son, when he was 9, used to speak to an old lady on the end of his bed. When I was a kid, that's how my grandmother came. That's how I knew it was going to be okay, because she told me things that I didn't know and told me and made me promise I would take care of my mom because she was going to have a hard time over the next few years, which she did, because my sister died. She had cancer and she was 36 and I was young. And so you need to pay attention to that. You absolutely need to pay attention to this. Yes, this is one of my favorite cups that nobody can steal. So thank you, Raylan. I appreciate it. Yep, that's a cool coffee cup. No, it's not coffee, it's tea. I told my kids, these are teacups. If you touch them and put coffee in them, I will kill you. Okay, yeah, Kay, C and adults condition use. Yeah, because it's about social graces, right? Society teaches us. Thanks, Cindy. Raylan got it made for me. But society tells us at a very young age this isn't possible. And when I was little, it was about us having imaginary friends. It's not imaginary friends. 9 times out of 10, it's like a grandparent or somebody that's attached to us that's coming in and playing with the kids or looking at the kids. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've worked with children and they've seen grandparents and their parents were the ones that were freaked out getting hold of me and then they kind of made the kids uneasy. And it's like, I don't recommend pushing it. Like, yeah, you guys are definitely seeing and making it crazy. Let them come to you and just respond to them with what they ask, and 9 times out of 10, they're pretty spot on. Oh, yes. This is like, okay, so this is like one of the biggest, the biggest things that happens to me. I can't say it happens to everybody, but it happens to me. A dear friend of mine, Robin Cesario, and her husband Vince lost their twin sons back in 2011 and 2012. They were 30 and 31. They died a year apart from each other. And because I knew one of them very, very well, and I knew mom and dad very, very well, they come and they play jokes on me all the time. Like, they'll make the washing machine do stuff, or they'll move stuff. Or I've had some people here and they go up behind them and they blow in their, like, behind their head to make their hair go. And they're pranksters. They're funny. We've used a voice recorder, and probably about 5 years ago now, but we caught their voices on the recorder, and it was a message for their parents. And yeah, I did give it to them. It was a very good, loving relationship. So yeah, they play jokes. They think it's funny, and they think it's really funny because sometimes people don't, they don't see or want to believe in stuff. So they'll keep doing stuff until you pay attention to them. And it's really, really important that we pay attention to them. We had a balance. My grandma and Nana managed me well to hide when we meant to and have some connection to spirit. Yeah. Yeah, it's my parents. Okay, so I was born in 1960. Okay, so when I look back on the things that I saw, the things that I heard, I was adopted as well. They were very accepting of it. And when I told them that my grandmother, I was like, I think I was 13, and my grandmother came and sat on the edge of the bed, they never made me feel bad about what I did. They were intrigued by it. My dad was scared of it, but my dad, prior to him passing, probably about 3 months prior to him passing, he asked me, and my niece was there with us, and she's the one that was my sister's daughter, and they said, why, hi Karen, Sean and Bex aren't here right now. Holly is, and she'll be back in a few minutes. But my dad said, have you ever seen 2 women and a man in this house? And I looked at him because I knew who he was talking. I knew exactly. I'd seen him. And I said, what did you just say, Dad? And he repeated it. He says, they keep coming from upstairs. They come down and they follow me through the house. I said, are they like solid? He said, no, they're kind of wispy. Now, mind you, my dad was 74. He wasn't sick, but he died from heart congestion. But it was really strange because anytime that they would show up, these 3 spirits, I was always attributed it to a death. Well, then my niece walked in, and she was in her early 20s. She was in college, and she stayed with my mom and dad. And she said to my dad, she says, have you seen those 3 people, Grandpa? And he said, yeah. And I said, yeah, I have as well. And here it was, my niece saw them 2 weeks prior to my sister passing, and my niece was staying with us at that time. And so it continued on, and we all saw it. So you kind of have to pay attention sometimes when kids see things. Don't discourage it, and don't encourage it unless you know it's right. And the more information they give you, the more you'll know to be able to balance it out. But I never turn my kids away.
Did you answer Chloe's question about, do you think babies can see spirits?
No, I didn't get to there yet, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think the younger they are, the more they'll see and acknowledge.
Well, that's like I said, I was telling him about my daughter. She was 3 years old, sitting in the car, and she saw my dad. So it's like, yeah, babies can see it, animals can see it, but it's because we don't know any better. We just don't. I was about 6 when I grew up. I love Halloween with my kids. I remember saying my eldest was born on Halloween. Yeah. Well, Kay, you do know things. I know you know things.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
we're not doing readings tonight, Karen.
no. So it's just it's a lot sometimes because, you know, like I said, when we were growing up, it was different. Now, you know, I encourage people to kind of say something, you know, and let your kids discuss it. Don't lead them in the discussion, but let them discuss it. I think it's very important. I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
Cindy, you saw
I
your
do.
dad smiling at you in a bright light, so clear.
Otherwise, the kids just think that they're crazy. They're losing their minds like we kind of did.
Oh, yeah, like we kind of did.
Well, you do. You wonder if you're seeing things, and you question it, and you're trying to figure out why am I seeing this and no one else is.
Well, and I do believe we all have the ability to do it. It's just whether we allow it to happen.
Am I
And
not
Cindy,
moving my mouth?
this was a blessing for Cindy, right? This is a huge blessing that you got to see it. It's interesting to see
My
how
boss.
spirit. It's okay. How spirit can you know, like, involve themselves. You know. Let's see who else here. Oh. Yeah, okay, yep, I just did that one. Sorry. Oh, that's the boss, Raylan. That's okay. So, yeah, you know, those things are all about our regular lives. And nowadays, and it's in every culture, it doesn't matter what kind of culture it is, they all have a sense of it. You know, I was talking, Taylor brought it up, and she says, well, how did you learn it from when the elders were around you and you were working with the elders? I said they were never skeptical. I said in a lot of the tribes and the clans, they treat them differently, but the tribe takes care of them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just one of those things. What, Gloria? Let me see what you got to say here. I looked after an elderly woman who saw spirits. Not
Look,
only
I figured it out.
I knew they were there with her. Oh, yeah, my mom, the same thing. Her family would come and be around my mom when she was starting to prepare to go. They were preparing her to pass to that other side. Okay, what are you showing us?
I figured out how to turn the camera around.
Okay.
Rellin was asking who the male voice was. It's my boss, but he left the room. He's in the other room now. I was
Nice
going to show her. You'll see him walk by in a minute.
So, yeah, you know, it's one of those things that it happens, whether we believe it or not. I know when I worked at Children's Hospital, I worked up in ICU in the HEMOC floor, which was the cancer ward, and kids were really calm. Kids would call me in like 3-year-old. I never
Babies and animals, yes, 100%.
Yep, and I would have little kids say, one in particular, he was like 3, and he had leukemia, and he was up in ICU, and his mom, he was going to pass, and everybody knew it, but his mom just was having issues, and I can understand that. I'm not picking on that at all. But he asked me at 3, he goes, tell mommy, my angels are here. You know, and you could feel a different shift in the room. I could feel the energy. So kids are amazing. Kids look at things totally different than we do.
Because they don't have those walls up.
No.
And they don't have the expectations either.
Bye. I notice I've stopped wearing stuff to fit in. I wear what I want and look like I had an accident in a paint factory.
See ya. Have a good day. Oh. What?
You just have to kind of Be yourself. I've told you that, okay? You got to be yourself and own who you are and step into your own power. No one else is in control of that. It's like we have to step into it, and we can't have guilt about it. Yeah, well, I have Presh, who when I read on Saturday or on Tuesdays, Presh always comes in, and her family has a party. There's a couple other people that I read for. It's like their whole family comes in for a party. Did I lose you? Oh, I lost you, Holly. All right. So what else are you asking? You want? That's her office, Chloe. That's not her home. That's her office.
All right. Now, if I can remember how to fix this camera, we'll be all right, y'all. Hold on.
Yeah.
You got to go to like settings. Oh, there we are.
Technology. You're the one that knows all that stuff, not me.
There we go. I'm back. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
So yeah, kids and babies, it's a big thing. And like I said, when I was working,
this is not my house. This is my office.
Yeah, that's what I told them. It's kids are amazing. I mean, and if you went to an ICU at a children's hospital and you go to an ICU at an adult person's hospital, total different way they look at everything. And the kids are so connected to spirit. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Because first of all, they don't have this expectation. They don't have the walls up. They're not shielded, and they're innocent.
They're not even scared.
No, they're not terrified at all. If y'all want to see a house, go to my TikTok, because I did one of the closets, the master closet. It's the size of almost the size of this freaking room. And I did the kitchen showing the sink, and they had one of those pot fillers over the stove, the freaking faucet that pulls out from the wall. And I did there's another room at the front of the house. It was probably the dining room, I guess. There's a big table in there. It looked almost like a conference room, more than a dining room. But they had a really cool light fixture there, and I showed that as well. And a beautiful swing on the back porch.
I used to have a beautiful swing on my porch too.
I like to swing.
I get another bird. If you do, please call it Sean. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get another bird right now, but I won't rule it out because I've actually been asked. I
remember she said she feels taps on her shoulder in her house, and she turned around, no one's there. One evening, I remember I was so stressed and so worried about a particular thing, and this is way back in 2008 or 9, and I felt a hand on my shoulder, like very heavy hand on my shoulder, and then I heard them say, "It's going to be okay." And in that moment, I just released all the tension, all the stress, all the worry, all the fears, and it was a lot at that moment. I just let it all go. I felt like I melted in that moment.
It's what we all need to learn to do. We can't go on the back and change it, but we can learn from what we're dragging forward. And if spirit helps us, they will tell you. They will get on you and bug you and bug you and bug you.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I remember one of the biggest moments of, when you hear the voices and you hear somebody say your name or something, and no one's there, or no one that you can see is there. I remember it was right after the divorce. I was sitting in my, I was actually laying in the bed in my bedroom, and I heard this voice say, "Guess what?" And I said, "What?" And the voice said, "I love you." I fell to pieces. And here I am someone saying, "Guess what?" I'm in my apartment by myself, and I'm not freaked out. What's wrong with me? I didn't jump up to see who said that, but I heard it plain as day. And they said that they loved me, and I fell to pieces. I just, wow. But that spirit.
Yeah, the all talking to each other, that's always something too. Like, I hear it all the time. and they're talking in another room. So you get up and you walk to that room and they move to another room. And when Taylor was growing up in high school and I was down the road renting a place down the road from here, we would see people walk through the house, and it's because this was a lumber town, like in the 1800s, and there was actually a reservation up here prior to that and during that time. So we'd see people and they were dressed like they had coats with fur around their, like fur trappers, right?
Right, right.
I'll never forget. I was sitting on the couch and she was sitting at the computer, and somebody walked through the front door right next to her, like through the door, not opening the door. And the person, it was a woman, and she turned and she looked at Taylor, and Taylor looked at her, and her eyes got really big. And Taylor goes, "Mom." I go, "Yeah, I see her." And then she looked over at me, and then she went poof. So yeah, some of it can be residual, but some of it, I believe, is spirits just wanting to say, "Hey, we're here," or they like it where they are.
Yeah,
that's a big thing too.
A big moment for me one night was I sat straight up in my bed, and this is when Stacey and Tracy were little. They were babies. They probably like a year and a half old. And I sat up, and sorry, there was this woman on the end of my bed, and I sat up and I just started talking to this woman. Now, remember, we had this really long conversation. I can't tell you a single thing she said to me or that I said to her. I just remember what it felt like. And then there was this, okay, we've caught up, and, goodbye. And poof, she was gone. And I just laid down like nothing ever happened and went to sleep. And I was telling my father-in-law at the time about what happened. And I said, I was not asleep. I was wide awake, and I sat up and I was talking to this spirit. Who do you think it was? And he said, it was you. It was your own spirit. And they were just letting you know that it's going to be okay. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I remember that to this day. I remember everything about it. But even then, I couldn't remember a single part of the conversation. That part wasn't important. It was the sense and that feeling of what was important.
Right.
So sometimes we meet our own spirit in our dreams, even though that was not a dream. That was like wide awake. But we can meet our own spirit, and that happens quite often, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's a lot. I have clients, like when I'm going to read for a client or somebody that's going to show up on my stream, they'll wake me up. It's like, oh my God, I know I'm going to do a reading for them. I know, but you don't have to hang around with me a week prior. I know you're here. And they've woken me up at night. Like,
oh yeah,
you hear it right there, and it's like, oh my God, you wake up and there's nobody there, right?
Right.
So, Gloria, sometimes, it's like a whisper or your name.
And sometimes it's just a really loud noise that there's nothing in your house that could possibly make that particular noise. So what it is it gets your attention and it wakes you up.
Well, with this, if you're hearing this, Gloria, often,
owls.
I would suggest to you that next time you hear it, ask them to be clearer on who it is, because you'd like to know. Just put that out there. You can say it out verbally. They can hear you. And it's, whoever it is trying to get your attention. So sometimes they will duplicate other people's voices too. Like I've had that happen. Like she's saying she could have sworn it was her sister, but her sister's sitting in the other room. Sometimes that happens because they use that energy. But I would just ask them.
Yeah, you can. No matter if you're dreaming or if you're not, if you're wide awake, you can always ask questions and just wait for the answer. Sandy said she keeps dreaming about owls. And what does that mean? Well, it depends on the dream, first of all. Think about how the dream made you feel. It's always about you, whatever the dream is, what's going on within you. And I pulled up a website here, and there's so many different things with the owl. One of them says it may be time to face the shadows. It also, of course, owl is a symbolism of wisdom, but also of silence, of listening.
Of watching, because they can, and this is one of the things that I always say, and I've had owls with me since I was a kid, real owls I've gone and picked up when they've been harmed and what have you. My big property we had the big ones, right, with the 6-foot wingspan out there, the great horns. They would teach their young every year, and they'd fly down my creek. And what it is, and it's kind of cool, because when you see cartoons, and sometimes they'll see the owl, they'll portray it as turning their head all the way around. Literally, they can't turn it all the way around, but they can turn it to the right all the way to the back, like halfway, and they can come back around.
Because their eyes are stationary. Their eyes don't move. So they have to turn their heads.
But their eyesight is so spot on, and that's why a lot of them hunt at night. Because they can see things that other creatures can't. So that might even be what it is, Margaret.
Also reaching your higher self, different spiritual perspectives, different points of view. So really think about what's going on in your own life, what that dream happened in that dream, what how that made you feel in the dream as well.
You got something you get while you're laying in bed that somebody's walking around the room and I'm on the ground floor. Yeah, that's always fun. That's always fun. But and anybody, if you're starting to connect with that stuff, they find out, they're going to come in and they're going to say hi. I don't think it's bad. I don't feel that it's bad. It's they're screwing with you is what they're doing. All right. That's pretty funny. That is really funny. That's somebody asked me. I think it was Chloe earlier made that comment about do they ever play pranks on you? Yeah.
And let's not even mention the wee ones that Bear loves so much. Watch her take a drink. What's in that cup?
No, and I have, someone else that always stops in to do stuff and hide stuff and thinks it's funny. And
really, who would that be?
Yeah, I don't know. And then the last week, somebody that was here that stopped by, they heard her, and they were like, "Oh," and they were like, "I didn't know you had." I go, "No, I don't have company."
Yeah, you do. You always have company.
And on that note, you need to know, because I haven't told you this, the wolf has a brand new grandson.
Oh, I think I've seen you posted online. Yeah.
Her oldest daughter had a baby and over the moon. And she connected, and you remember when I told you before the break about the butterfly that came in the fall that followed you around outside?
Yep.
Well, this particular daughter went just before the holidays, before it got really cold, went to Myrtle Beach with her husband and was out on the sand, no flowers, big beach, not a lot of people out there.
And here comes the butterfly.
And it sat with her for over 20 minutes. And that was what she and her mom used to buy us cocoons for all her grandkids, me and all her kids, and wait for them to hatch so they could go out in the world. And so this is a link for her. So when you say, do spirits send us signs? Yes, they do. You just
all the time. Quite often you miss them. You don't even realize you're seeing them. For me, this has been me for many, many, many years, is the numbers. Yeah. Like every day, multiple times a day, without fail, 111, 222, 555.
It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Oh, Lord, here we go, Bear, with the twin flames. Oh, goodness. Do we want to get into twin flames?
Sure.
Quickly, huh?
Yeah, quickly. We can take it up next week, more in depth if you want. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, the twin flame concept, it's split. Some people say your twin flame is supposed to be painful. It's supposed to teach you these life lessons. It's supposed to force you to grow, and that you'll just keep butting heads and coming together only to split apart. No, 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 no. That is a soulmate. And soulmates, people get soulmates confused as well. Soulmates are more like, you should say, call them soul family. And those people, your soul family comes in, and it's not just the people you're besties with or felt like you've known forever. It is also the people that come in and they choose to be in a particular role in your life.
And the role doesn't have to be a partner. It doesn't have to be a spouse.
No, it can be anything. And it could even be a stranger that comes into your life and does something either for you or against you to teach you something, to give you some sort of growth. The whole concept of twin flames and the people that think that it's going to be
your soulmate
trouble, right? The person you're supposed to be with, but you fight right against it all the time. No, the person you're meant to be with will not be work. It will not be difficult. You will not just come together like this. You come together like this. You mesh with each other. You fit each other in every sense of the word, every way that matters. You fit with each other. And that's what you should be looking for.
I also will say this, the word twin flames and soulmates is the way that the holistic kind of part of the world, like Hay House had a lot of people like this, and this was a new concept they were putting out for holistic stuff in a way to kind of put new agey stuff, put titles on it. And when they first brought it out, it was kind of like, oh yeah, you need to meet your twin flame, and that's who you're destined to be with. Oh, it's your soulmate. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't mean what you're making it out to be. It doesn't mean that it has to be a spouse.
You look at it this way. If a twin flame means that is one energy that's split into two, so that these two energies are the exact same energy, what part of that do you think would repel each other? Why would the same exact flame fight with each other? You're not going to fight with each other. You're going to come together and be a bigger flame.
Right.
You're going to be more powerful. You're going to be more connected. You are one. So the concept of twin flames always have it hard. They never come together. They're together and they're apart. Together and apart. No, they're freaking not. Stop saying that, people.
Well, and again, like I said, and I agree with that 100%, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a spouse.
No,
right. I don't care. When we first started radio, like in the dinosaur,
it could be your bestest friend forever. It could be your brother, your sister. It could be anybody, your mom, your dad.
It can be your parent. Yeah, it can be your parent. It can definitely be your parent. Let's see what Kay thinks here. I think twin flames are invented to gaslight. Yeah, that can be too. And it's a big thing. Like I said, and I agree, Kay. It's like I believe, and it's not that I don't believe that happens, that we have them, because I think we have a soul family, and life after life we wind up kind of traveling in circles with these people.
No, it makes sense, Chloe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's not weird, Chloe, but that's just the thing. Back in the day, I really do think it was a commercial way of putting people out there with knowledge that wasn't really true, in a way that would promote people seeking them. Because you remember when we do it, this isn't weird at all, Chloe. I agree with that 100%. But when you think about it, like when we were on just radio, and we'd have people call in and say, when am I going to meet my soulmate? When am I going to meet my twin flame? Oh my God, I'm so lonely. And it's like, you have to put yourself out there in a positive way to be able to attract that to you. And I can honestly say I had one person in my life, and it's been a long time, that would kind of fall under that twin flame thing, because it was like fire and oil, and it just didn't mesh. It was
but that wasn't your a twin flame. Right. is the same freaking flame that comes together and is stronger and better.
Yeah,
It is you are your optimum self
correct.
when you come together.
Correct.
But if you are fighting with each other, you're oil and water, you're not meshing together. That is not a twin flame.
No,
How
it's
can
not.
you even imagine or think that, oh, I'm going to fight the other half of me all the time? I'm going to resist the other half of me. No, you're not. You're going to welcome that person. You're going to just come together without any effort.
Yep. And most thank them for, and most they will teach you how much you can be. Yep. That's good parent. That's actually good people. Not everybody does that.
You know, whoever came up with that whole the twin flames are difficult and they're going to be button heads and fighting against each other. That was somebody that was trying, like she said, somebody trying to gaslight and somebody trying to manipulate you into believing their narrative.
Yep.
Forget it.
Yep.
Forget it.
Well, guys, we're going to take off, and thank you for sitting in. And if you guys got a topic, send it to either this one on my other side here, send it to Holly or myself, and we'll look into it for next week. Bring questions. We have no problem with questions.
Bye, everyone.
All right, you guys all have a great day. Bye.